Thank you, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, on the 15th of May each year, the Palestinian people around the world commemorate the Nakba, the day that 80% of Palestinians living in the land occupied by Israel were forced from their homes and country and made refugees. The remaining 20% became internally displaced people. The partitioning of Palestine without the consent of the Palestinian people was a disastrous decision by the UN to appease the Zionist movement and cleanse the conscience of Europe for their failure to stop the barbarism of the extreme political right across the continent. The Palestinian people paid and continue to pay a very heavy price for the sins of Western nations to address one injustice by only creating another. In the same way, First Nations Australians have paid a heavy price for the forced settlement of Australia by Europeans. There are many similarities between the plight of First Nations Australians and the Palestinian people. Both were and continue to be the victims of 19th and 20th century colonialism. Both were killed and displaced from their homes and homelands by the legal principle of terra nullius. While Australia has slowly come to terms with its colonial history, the West is yet to understand the impact of the partitioning of Palestine has had on a nation and its people. But the facts are well known, Mr Speaker. During 1947 to 1949, over 530 Palestinian towns and villages were completely destroyed by a Zionist militia, with many of these depopulated towns taken over by Jewish settlers and renamed. Around 15,000 Palestinians were killed during this forced takeover of Palestinian lands. 800,000 Palestinians were expelled from their homes in Galilee. Those who attempted to return were shot and killed. Successive Israeli governments have introduced laws and enacted policies which have made Palestinian people second-class citizens in their own country. The discrimination, hardship and indignities experienced by Palestinian people would not be tolerated in any First World or Western nation. Yet we continue to turn a blind eye to the plight of Palestinian people. Again, they share this experience with First Nations Australians. While First Nations Australians have remained to live in Australia, the Palestinian people live scattered across the world, hoping that one day they will be able to return home. A right which all Australians expect and experience, but one which is denied to the Palestinian people. Today, 6 million Palestinian refugees reside outside historical Palestine and continue to be denied their right to return to their homeland. 3.3 million Palestinians live in the West Bank, denied the right to vote for a government that continues to control every aspect of their lives. 2.2 million Palestinians living in appalling conditions caused by the ongoing siege of the lands by the Israeli forces. And 1.9 million Palestinians who continue to live within historic Palestine have the right to vote but are subject to different laws which diminishes their inherent humanity and dignity. While many European powers have accepted the process of decolonisation across the world, Israel continues to be permitted to occupy the lands and lives of the Palestinian people. As a middle power nation, Australia must use its diplomatic and political influence to address this injustice, as it has done so on many previous occasions. Australia helped end the apartheid regime in South Africa. Australia campaigned for an independent Zimbabwe. Albeit reluctantly, it helped to end the tyranny of Indonesia of East Timor. It campaigns against injustice across many continents today. And in Ukraine, it has sent a strong message to the Russian leaders that their behaviour is totally unacceptable. On all these occasions, Australia has stood alongside the oppressed. It is now time that Australia stands alongside the Palestinian people. It should not demand that the oppressed make concessions, but rather the oppressor, the State of Israel, behave according to internationally recognised rules and norms. And what does this mean, Mr Speaker? It should demand that Israel end its occupation of internationally recognised Palestinian land and territories, allow the return of Palestinians to their homeland, end the blockade of Gaza, ensure all people living in Israel enjoy equal rights before the law, including the 1.9 million Palestinians. Mr Speaker, it is right that we remember the Holocaust and other atrocities and acts of genocide committed during the 20th and 21st centuries. But in doing so, it should not be allowed to justify the aggression against the Palestinian people, nor should we allow ourselves to be distracted from what is happening in Palestine today and be blind to the hardship and oppression experienced by Palestinian people. Mr Speaker, it is time for Palestine to be free and the Palestinian people to live in peace.